Hello there and welcome to another patron Q&A session. Got a few questions this month. I normally would have some sort of graphics on the screen behind me, but you can probably tell that's an Amstrad Mega PC monitor and the Mega PC itself is in pieces. If you follow me on social media, you'll know that I've recently got one of these and there'll be videos on it coming soon, hopefully. But on to the questions. Alright, so question 1. Daniel Purchase. Hi Peter, 2 questions. Number 1, what's your best memories on Woolworths? Woolworths. There's so many memories for me for Woolworths. If you don't know, Woolworths was a chain of stores in the UK which sold pretty much everything. Toys, computer stuff, music, sweets, lots of sweets, and it was like most towns had a Woolworths. It was like your staple shop for everything in the good old days. And because of that, my memories go back from when I was tiny. Like, they used to sell clothes. I remember going there with my mum and buying Ladybird clothes, which was nice. That was a brand of clothes. They were called Ladybird clothes. And then as I got older, it was all about the toys at the back of the shop. So I used to go in there with my brother and get like Hot Wheels cars and Matchbox cars and Corgi cars. I remember getting some Matchbox cars with like silver windows and proper rubber tyres from there. That was awesome. And then as I got older, well actually no, about the same time, it was all about the pick and mix, of course. Pick and mix being pick whatever sweets you want from their selection and weigh them and pay the hefty charge. But I always remember going in there and finding those little jelly burgers. Do you remember those jelly burgers you had? And you had like a stack of, like a burger in the middle and like jelly lettuce. And they were quite expensive. They were like £1 for a tiny little thing. But I remember getting those from Woolworths, and that, well, I don't know why that sticks in my mind. And then as I got older, as I got into games consoles, then I used to go in there and check out the Master System games and pick up a few tapes, a few albums, double cassettes from the bargain bins, pick up my CDs from there when the CDs came out. It's just, Woolworths is just a whole swathe of memories. And I got some of my first PC games from there as well, because they used to have racks which sold budget PC games in those little fold out things. And I think I got Under a Killing Moon, Tex Murphy from there. I'm in trouble. Woo! And a couple of rally games. Just, I love that store so much. Also, me and my mate Michael, we used to go Christmas shopping there every Christmas Eve, like when we were like 11 or 12, and just buy the family, like, you know, cheap gifts. But every Christmas Eve we would go to Woolworths, get everything done in one go, and be off. Fabulous shop. I was thoroughly disappointed when they closed down. Question 2. What was the first thing you purchased in the Dixons group? Oh, the Dixons group. Oh, it's a hard one, because round here I used to spend a lot of my time in independent shops. There was a shop called Software Emporium in Norwich, and they sold loads of Spectrum games, wall to wall. I used to go in there and get Spectrum games. And there was a shop called One Step Beyond, which sold games and second-hand games. So from the Dixons group, the first thing I probably remember getting was a keyboard. You know, one of those little Yamaha PSS 21 keyboards with all the sound effects and stuff. That's probably the first item I remember buying from that group. Obviously, I used to go to PC World and buy lots of stuff from PC World. I used to spend, like, on my birthday once, was it my 16th birthday? No, it wouldn't be 16th, 14th birthday or something. I was getting drunk when I was 16. I spent an entire day in PC World with my birthday money, and I loved it. I didn't think my parents appreciated it so much being dragged around, but man, that was awesome. Okay. Next question is from James Christensen. Would you say it's harder or more accessible to get into vintage computing nowadays than it was, say, 5 years ago? Well, I would say that 5 years ago, everything was much cheaper. Like, you used to go on eBay and see games, Mega Drive games, which just weren't being sold, and Mega CD games particularly used to sit there, like all the common ones like Road Adventure. I was speaking to someone online about this, maybe even James himself, and they just used didn't sell, and now they're like £5 or £6. And all these computers you get on eBay now for extortionate amounts of money, Dragon 32s. Even a few years ago, I was looking for a Dragon 32 on eBay. I couldn't find one. Well, I did find one. It wasn't overly expensive, but now there's loads. People have sort of cottoned on, and they're listing things, and you might think because more things are being listed that they're cheaper, but no, because more people have cottoned on to retro gaming and they want to relive their childhood, they go for more expensive amounts of money. So I would say it's probably more expensive to get into retro gaming, but also it's more accessible because we've got all these new Kickstarter projects like the Spectrum Next and the Commodore 64 reproduction, and all these consoles which can take loads of cartridges. So if you want to go in that route and use modern hardware, it's a lot easier to get into. So more expensive and probably easier if you don't want to stick to the old hardware. You know, you win some, you lose some. Also, is it me or are thrift shops charging way more for things nowadays? Well, yes, I think they are. I think they've cottoned on to it. Most of them have eBay shops themselves, and they look on their eBay shops and see how much things are going for and realise that they are being done if they sell them for cheaper in their shop. So I think that kind of... It's all the rise of eBay, isn't it? That kind of has inflated prices, and that's a good thing for sellers. It's not so good if you're looking to buy, but it all balances out, doesn't it? That is how capitalism works. So, yeah, I mean, it's fine. If you go to a car beat sale, like I went to a car beat sale my last thrift episode, and everything is much cheaper. People are still seem to be... You get the odd store which sells stuff at like internet prices, but then you get a lot of people looking to clear their stuff out and just get rid of it. If you can find those stores, then you are on to a sure winner. Okay, next question. Lee Harris. If you could own one arcade machine, what would it be and why? It would be the Chase HQ arcade machine. I've done a video on this before. Chase HQ is my all-time favourite arcade machine. It was the first machine I veered towards when I went in Leisureland in Chroma, and because it wasn't too difficult and it was just so easy to get into, and the excitement of the game, that thumping soundtrack, it was just it's amazing. Let's go, Mr. Driver. Let's go. It was a cool game. If I could, I'd probably also salvage Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles, as it's known over here, as it was known over here, because we can't take the word ninja in the UK in the 90s. Yeah, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade cabinet for multiplayer, because that was awesome. So many 10p's went into that machine. Okay. Daniel Nelms. Hi, Nostalgia Nerd. I wanted to share this article about colour shifting on the Commodore 64. Had you heard of this technique being used on the Specky? Colour shifting is where you flicker between two colours, and the merging of those colours through the quick flickering generates another colour, so it extends your computer's palette. I probably first heard about this when I had my Atari ST. I had my Atari ST quite late in its life. We're talking like mid-1990s, and people were trying to push as much as they could out of a machine as possible. I love that. I love pushing as much as you can out of hardware and getting the most of it. I remember seeing in ST format there was a picture of a band, and the ST can't do many colours, can it? Is it 16 or something? I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was like this picture, and seeing photographs on computers back then was amazing to me. And this ST was producing what looked like a picture. I don't know how they got it on photo. They must have layered a couple of frames of it. I don't know, but it looked incredible. And the Commodore 64 could do that. Whether I've heard about it on the Spectrum, yeah, there are some newer development titles which do make use of it. I think I looked at Wolfenstein, or Wolfenstein 3D style game on the Spectrum a few months ago, and that made use of it for a few cutscenes, but it's hard to see on the YouTube video because it captures at 30 frames per second, and obviously that flickers at about 60 frames per second to create that effect, so you can't quite get it. I'll probably have to start recording those videos at 60 frames per second to get the full benefit. But yeah, it can be done on the Spectrum. because obviously the Z80 processor is quite a nifty little chip compared to the 1 MHz Commodore 6502. Okay, Sonic Broom. What were your favourite creative applications back in the day? For example, mine were Octamed Tracker on the Amiga 500 Plus and Deluxe Paint 3. Many hours consumed in those. Yes, Deluxe Paint 3 was a huge favourite of mine on the Amiga. Used to just use the big, the big block fonts just to produce writing. Just creating anything in that program was marvellous back in the day. I also used it in DOS. We had it at school. We had Deluxe Paint 2 in school on the PC, which wasn't quite on par, but lunch breaks and did we have IT lessons? Yeah, we had some sort of IT lesson. It wasn't proper IT. We could go on to Deluxe Paint and on the 386s and just play around with it and print stuff out. But really, my most fond creative programs were programming applications, because they are really creative, aren't they? I mean, they are fully creative because you can make whatever you want. And I spent hours using QBasic in DOS to create all these little RPG programs and little maze programs. I've done a video showing some of them I found ages ago. I'll do a more thorough, in-depth one soon, but I'll link to it up there, wherever it appears. Visual Basic I really got into when I got my PC with Windows 3.11. In Visual Basic I tried to make loads of applications, like trying to recreate the Windows 95 toolbar in Windows 3.11. And actually I kept using Visual Basic all the way into the noughties. I actually got a job at a finance company and they didn't have a very good computer system, so I made them an entire call center system in Visual Basic. And they were still using that when I left in 2011, 2012. It had various web services bolted onto it, written in C# and other programming languages to make it work with other systems, because it was obviously connected to other companies. But it worked well. Visual Basic is thoroughly underrated and I love it. It's a shame all these programs have been replaced by newer counterparts. But, they were awesome programs. There are other programs I used as well, I used some MIDI tracker programs on the Atari ST, but I can't remember what it was called. I used to borrow my dad's keyboard and plug it into the MIDI connections. Have a whale of a time. And that is it. That is all the questions for this month. Thank you to everyone who asked me questions. There will be more coming next month, or when there's enough questions for me to do one. I'm currently doing another system video, system story, should be out quite soon. There's a bit of a deadline on this one, so stay tuned for that. But I will be putting a poll out for patrons in the next couple of days about what system stories you want to see again. Had quite a lot of responses last time I did that, and that led to the Amstrad CPC story. So patrons, keep your eye peeled for that, so you can choose what system story is going to be after the next one going forward. But anyway, thanks for all your support as always. I hope you enjoyed listening to me talk about your questions. Hopefully we'll get a video on this beast soon as well, because Amstrad Mega PC. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you soon.